Prabhujugo Shri Jiva Gopalato.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. The next morning, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arose and prepared to leave for Benares, Sri Rupa Goswami submitted the following statement at the Lord's lotus feet. If you give me permission, I shall go with your lordship. It is not possible for me to tolerate the waves of separation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, your duty is to carry out my order. You have come near Vrindavan, now you should go there. Later, you can go from Vrindavan to Jagannath Puri through Bengal, Godadesh. There, you will meet me again. After embracing Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got into a boat. Rupa Goswami fainted and fell down on the spot. The Brahmin from Deccan took Rupa Goswami to his home, and thereafter the two brothers departed for Vrindavan. After walking and walking, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finally arrived at Varanasi, where he met Chandrasekhara, who was coming out of the city. In a dream, Chandrasekhara had seen that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come to his home. Therefore, in the morning, Chandrasekhara went outside the city to receive the Lord. While Chandrasekhara was waiting outside the city, he suddenly saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrive, and he fell down at the Lord's feet. Being very happy, he took the Lord to his home. Tapana Mishra also heard news of the Lord's arrival in Varanasi, and he went to Chandrasekhara's house to meet him. After talking, he invited the Lord to take lunch at his place. Tapana Mishra took Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his house and gave him lunch. Chandrasekhara invited Balabhadra Bhattacharya to take lunch at his home. After offering lunch to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Tapana Mishra begged a favor from the Lord and requested him to award him mercy. Tapana Mishra said, as long as your lordship stays in Varanasi, please do not accept an invitation from anyone but me. It was known to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he would remain there only 5 or 7 days. He would not accept any invitation that involved Mayavadi sannyasis. With this understanding, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agreed to accept lunch at the place of Tapanamisha. The Lord made his residence at the home of Chandrasekhara. The Maharashtrian Brahmin came, and the Lord met him. Out of affection, the Lord bestowed his mercy upon him. Hearing that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come, all the respectable members of the Brahma and Kshatriya communities came to see him. Much mercy was thus bestowed upon Sri Rupa Goswami, and I have briefly described all those topics. Whoever hears this narration with faith and love certainly develops love of God at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Radhanath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, 19th chapter, describing the Lord's instructions to Sri Rupa Goswami at Prayag in the science of devotional service. So now we're on Madhya-lila, chapter 20. The Lord instructs Sanatana Goswami. Text 1. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has unlimited, wonderful opulences. By his mercy, even a person born as the lowest of men can spread the science of devotional service. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. While Sanatana Goswami was imprisoned in Bengal, a letter arrived from Srila Rupa Goswami. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur informs us that this letter from Rupa Goswami to Sanatana Goswami is mentioned by the annotator of the Udbaka Chandrika. Sri Rupa Goswami wrote a note to Sanatana Goswami from Bakla. This note indicated that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was coming to Mathura, and it stated, "Where has the Mathura Puri of Yadupati gone? Where has the northern Koshala of Raghupati gone? By reflection, make the mind steady, thinking this universe is not eternal." When Sanatana Goswami received this note from Rupa Goswami, he became very pleased. He immediately went to the jail superintendent, who was a meat eater, and spoke as follows. Sanatana Goswami told the Muslim jailkeeper, "Dear sir, you are a saintly person and very fortunate. You have full knowledge of the revealed scriptures, such as the Quran and similar books. If one releases a conditioned soul or imprisoned person according to religious principles, he himself is also released from material bondage by the Supreme Personality of Godhead." Purport. It appears from this statement that Sanatana Goswami, who was formerly a minister of the Nava, was trying to cheat the Muslim superintendent. A jailed superintendent had only an ordinary education, or practically no education, and he was certainly not supposed to be very advanced in spiritual knowledge. But, just to satisfy him, Sanatana Goswami praised him as a very learned scholar of the scriptures. The jailkeeper could not deny that he was a learned scholar, because when one is elevated to an exalted position, one thinks himself fit for that position. Sanatana Goswami was correctly explaining the effects of spiritual activity, and the jailkeeper connected his statement with his release from jail. There are innumerable conditioned souls rotting in the material world, imprisoned by Maya under the spell of sense gratification. The living entity is so entranced by the spell of Maya that in conditioned life, even a pig feels satisfied. There are two kinds of covering powers exhibited by Maya. One is called Prakshepit Makita, and the other is called Avaranatmika. When one is determined to get out of material bondage, the Prakshepatmika Shakti, the spell of diversion, impels one to remain in conditioned life fully satisfied by sense gratification. Due to the other power, Avaranatmika, a conditioned soul feels satisfied even if he is rotting in the body of a pig or a worm in stool. To release a conditioned soul from material bondage is very difficult because the spell of Maya is so strong. Even when the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself descends to deliver conditioned souls, asking them to surrender unto Him, the conditioned souls do not agree to the Lord's proposal. Therefore, Sri Sanatana Goswami said, somehow or other, if one helps another gain release from the bondage of Maya, he is certainly recognized immediately by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita 1869, Nachad tasman manushesu kaschame priyakriptamaha bhavita namame kasma anya kriya taro bhuvi. The greatest service one can render to the Lord is to try to infuse devotional service into the heart of the conditioned soul, so that the conditioned soul may be released from conditioned life. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said that a Vaishnava is recognized by his preaching work, that is, by convincing the conditioned soul about his eternal position, which is explained here as Nija Dharma. It is the living entity's eternal position to serve the Lord. Therefore, to help one get released from material bondage is to awaken one to the dormant understanding that he is the eternal servant of Krishna. Jivara Swarupahai, Krishna Nitya Das. This will be further explained by Lord Krishna himself to Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami continued, previously I have done much for you. Now I am in difficulty. Please return my goodwill by releasing me. Here are 5,000 gold coins. Please accept them. By releasing me, you will receive the results of pious activities and gain material profit as well. Thus, you will profit in two ways simultaneously. In this way, Sanatana Goswami convinced the jailkeeper, who replied, please hear me, my dear sir. I am willing to release you, but I am afraid of the government. Sanatana replied, there is no danger. The Nawab has gone to the south. If he returns, tell him that Sanatana went to pass stool near the bank of the Ganges, and that as soon as he saw the Ganges, he jumped in. Tell him, I looked for him a long time, but I could not find any trace of him. He jumped in with his shackles, and therefore he was drowned and washed away by the waves. There is no reason for you to be afraid, for I shall not remain in this country. I shall become a mendicant and go to the holy city of Mecca. Sanatana Goswami could see that the mind of the meat eater was still not satisfied. He then stacked 7,000 gold coins before him. When the meat eater saw the coins, he was attracted to them. He then agreed, and that night he cut Sanatana's shackles and let them cross the Ganges. In this way, Sanatana Goswami was released. However, he was not able to walk along the path of the fortress. Walking day and night, he finally arrived at the hilly tract of land known as Patada. After reaching Patada, he met a landholder and submissively requested him to get him across that hilly tract of land. A man who was expert in palmistry was at that time staying with the landlord. Knowing about Sanatana, he whispered the following in the landlord's ear. The palmist said, this man, Sanatana, possesses 8 gold coins. Hearing this, the landlord was very pleased and spoke the following to Sanatana Goswami. The landlord said, I shall get you across that hilly track at night with my own men. Now, just cook for yourself and take your lunch. Saying this, the landlord offered Sanatana grain to cook. Sanatana then went to the riverside and took his bath. Because Sanatana had been fasting for 2 days, he cooked the food and ate it. However, having formerly been a minister of the Nawa, he began to contemplate the situation. As a former minister for the Nawa, Sanatana could certainly understand diplomacy. He therefore thought, why is this landlord offering me such respect? Thinking in this way, he questioned his servant, whose name was Ishana. Sanatana asked his servant, Ishana, I think that you have some valuable things with you. Ishana replied, yes, I have 7 gold coins. Hearing this, Sanatana Goswami chastised the servant, saying, why have you brought this death knell with you? Thereupon Sanatana Goswami took the 7 gold coins in his hands and went to the landlord. Holding the gold coins before him, he spoke as follows. I have these 7 gold coins with me. Please accept them. And from a religious point of view, please get me across that hilly tract of land. I am a prisoner of the government, and I cannot go along the way of the ramparts. It will be very pious of you to take this money and kindly get me across this hilly tract of land. Smiling, the landlord said, before you offered them, I already knew that there were 8 gold coins in your servant's possession. On this very night, I would have killed you and taken your coins. It is very good that you have voluntarily offered them to me. I am now relieved from such a sinful activity. I am very satisfied with your behavior. I shall not accept these gold coins, but I shall get you across that hilly tract of land simply to perform a pious activity. Sanatana Goswami replied, if you do not accept these coins, someone else will kill me for them. It is better that you save me from the danger by accepting the coin. After the settlement was made, the landlord gave Sanatana Goswami 4 watchmen to accompany him. They went through the forest path for the whole night and just brought him over the hilly tract of land. After crossing the hills, Sanatana Goswami told the servant, Ishana, I think you still have some balance left from the gold coins. Ishana replied, I still have 1 gold coin in my possession. Sanatana Goswami then said, take the coin and return to your home. After departing from Ishana, Sanatana Goswami began traveling alone with a water pot in his hand. Simply covered with a torn quilt, he thus lost all his anxiety. Walking and walking, Sanatana Goswami finally arrived at a place called Hajipura. That evening, he sat down within a garden. In Hajipura, there was a gentleman named Shrikant, who happened to be the husband of Sanatana Goswami's sister. He was engaged there in government service. Shrikant had 300,000 gold coins with him, which had been given to him by the emperor for the purchase of horses. Thus, Shrikant was buying horses and dispatching them to the emperor. When Shrikant was sitting in an elevated place, he could see Sanatana Goswami. That night, he took a servant and went to see Sanatana Goswami. When they met, they had many conversations. Sanatana Goswami told them in detail about his arrest and release. Shrikant then told Sanatana Goswami, stay here for at least 2 days and dress up like a gentleman. Abandon these dirty garments. Sanatana Goswami replied, I shall not stay here even for a moment. Please help me cross the Ganges. I shall leave immediately. With great care, Shrikant gave him a woolen blanket and helped him across the Ganges. Thus Sanatana Goswami departed again. After a few days, Sanatana Goswami arrived at Varanasi. He was very pleased to hear about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's arrival there. Sanatana Goswami then went to the house of Chandrasekhara and sat down by the door. Understanding what was happening, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke to Chandrasekhara. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "There is a devotee at your door. Please call him in." Going outside, Chandrasekhara could not see a Vaishnava at his door. When Chandrasekhara informed the Lord that no Vaishnava was at the door, the Lord asked him, "Is there anyone at all at your door?" Chandrasekhara replied, "There's a Muslim mendicant." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately said, "Please bring him here." Chandrasekhara then spoke to Sanatana Goswami, who was still sitting beside the door. "O Muslim mendicant, please come in. The Lord is calling you." Sanatana Goswami was very pleased to hear this order, and he entered Chandrasekhara's house. As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Sanatana Goswami in the courtyard, he immediately went up to him with great haste. After embracing him, the Lord was overwhelmed with ecstatic love. As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu touched Sanatana Goswami, Sanatana was also overwhelmed with ecstatic love. In a faltering voice, he said, "O my Lord, do not touch me." Shoulder to shoulder, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sanatana Goswami began to cry unlimitedly. Chandrasekhara was very much astonished to see this. Catching his hand, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took Sanatana Goswami inside and made him sit on an elevated place next to him. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began cleansing Sanatana Goswami's body with his own transcendental hand, Sanatana Goswami said, "O my Lord, please do not touch me." The Lord replied, "I am touching you just to purify myself, because by the force of your devotional service, you can purify the whole universe. Saints of your caliber are themselves places of pilgrimage. Because of their purity, they are constant companions of the Lord, and therefore they can purify even the places of pilgrimage." Purport. This verse was spoken by Maharaj Yudhishthira to Vidura in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. Vidura was returning home after visiting sacred places of pilgrimage, and Maharaj Yudhishthira was receiving his saintly uncle. In essence, Maharaj Yudhishthira was saying, "My dear Lord, Vidura, you yourself are a holy place because you are an advanced devotee. People like you always carry Lord Vishnu in their hearts. You can revitalize all holy places after they have been polluted by the pilgrimages of sinners. A sinful person goes to a holy place of pilgrimage to be purified. In a holy place, there are many saintly people and temples of Lord Vishnu. However, the holy place becomes infected with the sins of many visitors. When an advanced devotee goes to a holy place, he counteracts all the sins of the pilgrim. Therefore, Maharaj Yudhishthira addressed Vidura in this way. Since an advanced devotee carries Lord Vishnu within his heart, he is a moving temple and a moving Vishnu. An advanced devotee does not need to go to holy places, for wherever he stays is a holy place. In this connection, Narottam Das Thakur states, "Tirtha Yatra Parishrama Kevala Nanarayara Brahma." Visiting holy places is simply another type of bewilderment. Since an advanced devotee does not need to go to a holy place, why does he go? The answer is that he simply goes to purify the place. Lord Krishna said, "Even though a person is a very learned scholar of the Sanskrit Vedic literatures, he is not accepted as my devotee unless he is pure in devotional service. However, even though a person is born in a family of dog-eaters, he is very dear to me if he is a pure devotee who has no motive to enjoy fruit of activity or mental speculation." Indeed, all respect should be given to him, and whatever he offers should be accepted. Such devotees are as worshipable as I am. This verse is included in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, compiled by Sanatana Goswami. One may be born in a Brahmin family and have all the 12 Brahminical qualities, but if he is not devoted to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, who has a navel shaped like a lotus, he is not as good as a Chandala, who has dedicated his mind, words, activities, wealth, and family and life to the service of the Lord. Simply to take birth in a Brahmin family or to have Brahminical qualities is not sufficient. One must become a pure devotee of the Lord. If a Swapacha or Chandala is a devotee, he delivers not only himself, but his whole family. Whereas a Brahmin, who is not a devotee, but simply has Brahminical qualifications, cannot even purify himself, what to speak of his family. Purple. This verse is spoken by Prahlad Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto. A Brahmin is supposed to be qualified with 12 qualities, as stated in Mahabharata. A Brahmin must be perfectly religious, he must be truthful, and he must be able to control his senses. He must execute severe austerities, and he must be detached, humble, and tolerant. He must not envy anyone, and he must be expert in performing sacrifices and giving whatever he has in charity. He must be fixed in devotional service and expert in the knowledge of the Vedas. These are the 12 qualifications of a Brahmin. In Bhagavad Gita 1842, describes the Brahminical qualities in this way: peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmins work. In the Muktapala Tika, it is said, mental equilibrium, sense control, austerity, cleanliness, tolerance, simplicity, detachment, theoretical and practical knowledge, satisfaction, truthfulness, and firm faith in the Vedas are the 12 qualities of a Brahmin. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, by seeing you, by touching you, and by glorifying your transcendental qualities, one can perfect the purpose of all sense activity. This is the verdict of the revealed scriptures. This is confirmed in the following verse from the Hari Bhakti Shuddha. My dear Vaishnava, seeing a person like you is the perfection of one's eyesight. Touching your lotus feet is the perfection of sense of touch. And glorifying your good qualities is the tongue's real activity. For in the material world, it is very difficult to find a pure devotee of the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continues, my dear Sanatan, please hear from me. Krishna is very merciful, and he is the deliverer of all the fallen souls. My dear Sanatan, Krishna has saved you from Maharovara, life's deepest hell. He is an ocean of mercy, and his activities are very grave purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 1861, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Vidashe Yurnatishtati. Staying within everyone's heart, Lord Krishna works very gravely. No one can understand how he is working. But as soon as the Lord understands the sincere activity of a person in devotional service, he helps him in such a way that the devotee cannot understand how things are happening. If the devotee is determined to serve the Lord is always prepared to help him. Vidami buddhi yogam tam yenamam prayanti te. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling Sanatana Goswami how merciful the Lord is. Sanatana Goswami was a minister in the service of Noah, who was staying shop. He was always mixing with materially inclined people, particularly with Muslims, meat eaters. Although he was in intimate touch with them, by Krishna's mercy, he came to find such association distasteful. Therefore he left them. As stated by Srinivasacharya, Jatva Purnam Ashesha Mandala Pati Shrenam Sadatuchavata. Krishna enlightened Sanatana Goswami in such a way that he was able to give up his exalted post as minister. Thinking his material position insignificant, Sanatana was prepared to become a mendicant. Appreciating the activities of Sanatana Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu praised his action and thanked Krishna for the mercy upon him. Sanatana replied, I do not know who Krishna is. As far as I am concerned, I've been released from prison only by your mercy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then asked Sanatana Goswami, how were you released from prison? Sanatana then described the story from beginning to end. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I met your two brothers, Rupa and Anupama, at Praya. They have now gone to Vrindavan. By the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sanatana Goswami met both Tapana Mishra and Chandrasekhar. Tapana Mishra then extended an invitation to Sanatana, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Sanatana to get a shave. After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Chandrasekhar and asked him to take Sanatana Goswami with him. He also asked him to take away Sanatana's present dress. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada.